What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining in. Welcome to Money Making Mondays. I normally give everybody maybe about 2 or 3 minutes just to go ahead and join us. So I'll let everybody do that in the meantime. Seeing some familiar faces log in. What's up, Brittany? Chef Maurice, what's up? Magic Carpet Pimpin', what's up? This week, I always start this off by kind of doing some announcements and what we got going on with each of my establishments. A big thing that I have going on this week, tomorrow I'll actually be at iLounge with some of my closest colleagues, employees, friends, etc. I'll be receiving the Entrepreneur of the Year award. So super excited about that. Pretty much a group called the Gathering Group, as well as another group called Connect the Dots. What they do is they do different awards each month for the nightlife and for the nightlife industry. So they chose me as Entrepreneur of the Year, and I'm super excited about it because one, I'm a female, so you know how that goes. We're always the underdog. And then two, there's so many entrepreneurs here in the city of Atlanta, so many dope individuals that I know, that I associate with, and that I network with on a daily, weekly, yearly basis. So for individuals that probably have never even met me in life, but just to follow my story, to see what it is that I've done, and what I contribute to the community, and to deem me of being worthy to receive an award for Entrepreneur of the Year is just definitely very, very humbling. So truly appreciate that. Anybody that can join us over there, me and a bunch of my people will be over there tomorrow night. For any of you guys that know me personally, we're actually doing a whole party bus thing. Meeting up at Escobar, taking a party bus over there. So it's gonna be one of those nights, and then we'll be doing an after party at Hookah Hideaway. So Entrepreneur of the Year award, I'll be receiving that tomorrow at iLounge. We'll be pulling up at about 11 o'clock. So if any of you guys live here in the Atlanta area, please join me. Like I said, I'll be getting that Entrepreneur of the Year award tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into Money Making Mondays. As you guys know, this is something that I do pretty much every other Monday, and it's just basically a session of like giving back. I'm pretty busy. Mondays is actually the busiest day for me. I'm so tired, y'all. It definitely was one of them serial entrepreneur type Mondays, but I know that there's always just a lot of questions, on how to start a business, how to handle finances, how to do this, that, and the third. So I do offer business consultation sessions that I do one-on-one for a fee. And those can be set up either by going onto my website, whoissnoop.com, or by emailing me, helpgrowmybusiness@gmail.com. So that's how you can actually set up a one-on-one consultation. But tonight's subject, I'm going to just jump right into it. I love subjects like these where I can just really just kind of like talk from the dome and I don't have to have a lot of notes. A lot of times when I do Money Making Mondays, I'll have a topic that requires facts and different information that, normally I'll do like a little bit of research. But for this one, pretty much came natural to me. The subject that we're exploring today is how to get started. Most people, you look at various entrepreneurs that have been in the game, for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and it's like, you see them and they're already established, but everybody had to start somewhere. And I would say that that's probably one of the biggest questions that I always get is, how did you get started? How did you open up such and such, etc.? So what I said that I would do today is actually just go through each of the 10 businesses that I've started and that I've been a part of since I've been in this whole entrepreneurial game, and just drop gems on how it is that I started each of these businesses. So that's what we're going to do. It's actually 10 businesses. So I'm going to run through 5 of them today. I'm going to run through the first 5 that I ever started today. And we'll do the latter 5 for the next Money Making Monday session. So for any of you guys that have not been office yet. So this is my office. This is just my hub that I come and do work at, and able to have, my little quiet time and things of that nature. So over here, branding is really, really big and key with me. So over here, I actually have a wall in my office, and it's like one of those walls, if I ever, get down, or I'm having a rough day, or, my employees, my staff, they're driving me crazy. I can just kind of look at this wall and continue to stay focused, looking at everything I've started, everything I've been a part of, things that I've overcome, the adversity, etc. Of course, I also had a whiteboards in here. I love using these when I'm doing my business consultations and things of that nature. And right here in the front of the office, I've got my Who is Snoop logo with my website. So guys, always continue to brand yourself. I'm not this vain. One of my assistants, she put these up here, but of course, always good, to have your stuff wherever it is that you're working and creating and setting your goals. All right, so let's get back to the Wall of Fame. So like I said, we're going to do the first 5 businesses, and one of them, I don't know how I could even leave it off, but I actually left off one of my businesses off this wall. And that was actually the first club that I ever opened. It's called the G Spot. I actually have it tattooed on my neck, crazy as hell. Not anything I would ever do today, but maybe that's why I got left off the wall, because it's already on me anyway. But anyway, so the very first business I ever started was called Building Foundations. Building Foundations was actually a business that I did with 2 other individuals that I was pretty cool with, 2 other guys. And it was basically a LLC that we started, and we bought homes and rented them out. So basically, that was my entry into the real estate market. Exactly how I started that. So what I did, like I said, it was me and 2 other guys that I was cool with at the time. I was very young. I had great credit. Fortunately, my mom didn't abuse my credit like a lot of black parents do. So I had pretty decent credit. And I went ahead, I purchased my first house. This was actually back in 2001. So kind of that time period. This was not 2001, I'm sorry. This was 2006, 2007. So this was the time period where it was really, really easy to buy a house. That's why the whole market crashed and all that stuff in 2008 and 2009. And now it's so much harder to buy a house. Before, at the time, pretty much all you had to have was a decent credit score, a 650, 620, something like that. They had all these FHA loans and all this stuff. And I didn't even have to put any money down at all, period. So after I bought one house and I saw how easy it was, I was like, man, I'm going to keep doing this. And so before they would hit my credit, because of course you've got your debt to income ratio. And so the more things that you have on your credit, your debt to income ratio increases. And then, you aren't able to finance as many things. So it normally takes, when you make a purchase, it normally takes anywhere between 30 to 90 days for that purchase to hit your credit. So I just started getting smart. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy 2 of them at one time. If I don't have to put any money down and all I have to do is rent them out, why not? Okay. One of the things I learned from that business, of course, when the stock market, and they basically called it kind of like a second depression that we went through. This was right when, basically Obama was elected right after this period. I know you guys remember in 2008, 2009. A lot of people were losing their jobs, losing their homes, etc. A lot of people that were renting houses from me, of course, weren't able to pay the rent. So then at that time, I ended up being like 24 years old with 6 houses. Thought I was balling. Really, if I knew what I know now, I would have gotten those houses and flipped them versus getting those houses and trying to hold on to them. Because then once the market crashed and everybody was having hard financial times, including myself, not only did I have to pay my mortgage, but there was a time where I looked at having to pay 5 to 6 other mortgages as well. All of the homes eventually were foreclosed on, and I found myself in a period of having to rebuild my credit. However, the whole purpose of this lesson is just talking about how to get started. So we won't go into how they all ended. All of them are not ended. Some are still going on, but just looking at how we got started. So building foundations was actually a business that did not require zero capital at all, period. So the moral of this story, guys, is that not all businesses require a large amount of capital or any amount of capital to get started. Also, make sure that you're taking care of your credit. Credit is so important. You can get 100,000 with credit, with good credit. Credit is more important than cash. So really keep that in mind, guys. The better your credit is, the less of your cash is that you actually have to spend. All right, so that was building foundations. So building foundations was started with no capital and just credit. So keep that in mind. The second business that I started after that was Profitable Productions. Profitable Productions was a media company that I started. I started it to do a calendar with my girlfriend at the time. Crazy. Did a calendar in Nashville, Tennessee called Wet Dimes in the Key. It was a very popular calendar. Gotta toot my own horn, y'all. I've been doing this. But anyway, Wet Dimes in the Key was started back when I lived in Nashville. I produced that calendar, published that calendar, and distributed it. Every single model that was in that calendar had a management contract with me. So I also used to manage models and manage artists. This company basically, pretty much I was doing financial advising and real estate. Had a little bit of money saved up, thought I was making something. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make money with everybody around me. So me and my girlfriend at the time, we started this calendar. Actually, one of the people that was on my promo team, Mika, is tuning in right now. She the one talking about, yeah. But yeah, that was us. So that was actually, it was a lot of fun. That business probably, I probably made the least amount of money with that business out of any other business that I ever did. However, it opened up to me being in the nightlife industry. Now, that's how I started promoting parties, because I had to get the calendar out and all of this stuff. So basically with that business, what I did when it comes to startup and capital and how it was that I got started, basically I used the people around me. So I had already had one of the models that I was pretty much living with. We started doing the venture together, got a lot of sweat equity from her as well as some of the models that were around. And then I just used some of the funds that I was making. I was not rich. I did not have a lot of savings. I did not have a lot of money at the time, but I've just always been the type of person that if I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure it gets done no matter how much money I have, period. After I did that calendar, I decided that I wanted to open up my own club. I was 24 years old. I had started promoting parties. I used to walk around with videographers out the ass all the time following me. Was super hot in the city of Nashville. We actually had a DVD as well that came out that was the behind the scenes. So all of the filming and everything. Everybody actually thought I was a pimp. Ended up becoming one, unfortunately. But anyways, long story short, a little bit after that, I decided that I wanted to open up a club. I ended up meeting two individuals. That one of them was a Mexican guy, another one some type of Hispanic or Spanish lady. I knew these people from nowhere, guys. These were not individuals that I knew that I was friends with or anything like that. Actually, it's dawning on me how I met them. My models at the time where one of them had owned like a Hispanic club or something like that. And so my models, they were hosting a night there. We got to talking and networking. As you guys know, it's all about, who you know, not what you know. So anyways, we got to talking, conversing and stuff like that. I convinced these foreign Hispanic people to open up a gay club with me. Now, the only reason why I wanted to open up a gay club is because they did not have a gay club in Nashville at the time. All right. So I didn't convince these people to open up a spot with me. The spot that they had was kind of shutting down. It was in a bad area. They was getting a lot of flack by the neighbors and stuff like that. So they were kind of looking to take their money and put it into something new anyway. they meet me. You know, I'm the person that's gonna be there running this stuff. You know, I'm gay, of course. I'm in the community. I know everybody. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. So we decided to open this spot together. Named it G Spot. This is actually what's tattooed on my neck right here. So we decided to open up G Spot together. Now, mind you guys, when I sat down with these people to open up G Spot, I probably maybe had $3,000 to my name. I didn't have G Spot club opening money, okay? Now, I was always a hustler. I was always, you know, always would go back to the streets and stuff like that and sell what I need to sell or do what I needed to do to gain some funds. So basically, sat down with these individuals. They got to talking, you know, we were going to need $20,000, $30,000 a piece, you know, to do what we need to do, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. I agreed to it. Of course, I was stressed as hell, wondering how it was that I was going to go from $3,000 to $20,000 to be able to open up the club with these individuals. Luckily, when we started working on it, it was piece by piece. So a lot of times, guys, like if you'll hear, like, for example, I put $100,000 cash into Escobar. It doesn't mean that I came to the table and was like, oh, wow, I'm gonna write a check for $100,000. This is what I'm gonna put into it. Okay. This is money that you spend along the way. All right. So sometimes you may need a certain amount of money to do a project, but you don't have to have it all at one time. All right. You don't have to have it all up front. So basically, I went into business with these individuals. We start working on the spot. We're spending money, you know, little by little. They Mexican, so they get all the Mexican workers and all that stuff. So it's cheaper than what it would normally be anyway. But basically, during this period of my life, I was still in the streets. So the money that I got to do Escobar, I actually just hustled up on. And I was selling anything. I was selling stuff in my house, y'all. Of course, like I said, I was in the streets. I was, you know, selling that type of stuff. I was selling stuff in my house. I was sacrificing. I wasn't buying new clothes, new shoes. I didn't care about any of that stuff. All I knew is that I was going to be a 24-year-old club owner. I would eventually get the money. We would eventually get open, but the spot only stayed open for 3 months. So I ended up losing my whole total investment that I had hustled upon. I actually ended up moving to Atlanta less than a year after that. All right, so that's G Spot. So we talked about building foundations. Let me go back to the wall. We've talked about building foundations and how that business started. I basically started that business with little to no capital, with just good credit. Profitable productions. That business was also started with very little capital. I would say the whole, you know, to put the calendar together, everything we spent with the models and stuff like that, I would probably say that I spent maybe about $10,000 on that venture. And that was pretty much, I was selling real estate and stuff like that at the time. Pretty much one of my largest sales, I think, got me like $21,000. And after that, I was like, oh shit, I'm done. I'm gonna go do what I want to do with this money. And that's how that happened. And honestly, guys, after that, I never went back to working in corporate America ever again. After that, I was a financial advisor. I was working in real estate. I was a realtor. I was also working with investors. And after I made a decent amount of money, I turned and was like, I'm gonna work for myself and kind of make this work. All right, so that's Wet Dimes, was the calendar and the models. All right, and then so I told you about G Spot, which is the one that was left off the wall. So that was the fourth one. So like I just told you guys, after my club got shut down, I moved to Atlanta less than a year after that. However, I was still in Nashville, you know, for maybe anywhere from 9 to 11 months. So what I did after the club was shut down, I opened up a media company called KRD Media Group. So that's going to be the business. That'll be the last one that we talk about today. The last 5 businesses have all been here in Atlanta. They're all businesses that you guys have known me for. They all were started very successfully. All except for one is either still going on or ended on a successful note. So learned a little something once I moved to the A. All right, so the very last one that we're going to talk about is KRD Media Group. So KRD Media Group, At the time, basically, I was in a very, very bad financial spot. I had just lost $30,000 at the age of 24. Not many 24-year-olds even have $30,000. One of the things, too, that I learned from that, and I talk about this all the time, is that this is like my true motto. I feel like if you work hard and you're a good person, you're actually a good-hearted person, and you're out here doing right by people, at some point, everything is going to click. At some point, it's going to be your time. You're going to be successful, because how can it not be? You're out here working hard, you're doing right by people, and you're a good-hearted person. That was one of the things that I learned right when I moved to Atlanta. And I think that that's why a lot of the things that I've done here have been successful versus a lot of the businesses that I did before. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was in the streets. I was selling drugs. I was doing this. I was pimping females. I was getting food stamps knowing that I wasn't supposed to have food stamps, that I was making too much money to be getting it. You know what I'm saying? All of that stuff, once I decided that I was just going to live right. I used to have people that I would do business with that sometimes I wouldn't pay, or just, all type of things, being a young 20-something entrepreneur, some of the mistakes that you make in business. And I definitely want to say that changing my life and just changing my outlook and just wanting to do right by people, wanting to be somebody that the people that work for me and with me can actually look up to, it's definitely had a tremendous outcome on my success. All right, so we're going to get into the very last business that I'm going to talk about the startup on, which is KRD Media Group. So as I was saying, I was 24. My first spot, the G spot, had just been shut down. Man, y'all, that spot was so live too. It literally had like jacuzzi tubs in there. We used to set that shit out. But anyways, after that, my club was shut down. It was only open for 3 months, not even enough time to recoup the money that was put in. I actually was I was really still owing them, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get the money that we gonna make to still pay back on the stuff that had been done to get open in the first place, you know what I mean? So I was in a very, very bad financial situation. I was just in a bad place emotionally as well, depressed, this, that, and the third. Anyways, long story short, had met a couple of guys, and we decided to do a newspaper in Nashville, Tennessee called Face It. Basically, I had been in Chattanooga. I had seen one of these particular newspapers on top of the shelves in the gas station. And basically, it was one of those newspapers that had mug shots of people that had been arrested. I was in there in line waiting to get some water, cigarillos, or whatever, and people were just going crazy. They had just dropped off the new issue of this paper. People were in there literally losing their mind over these little newspapers that had mugshots of people that had been arrested. And it really didn't click to me then, but the dude that I was with, it really clicked to him. And he was like, yeah, we need to do this. This is dope. They don't have anything like this in Nashville. We should do this in Nashville. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. So that night, we were sitting around a couple beers, me, him, this other white dude that we knew. And, we got to conversing even more. Y'all notice what I said, conversing, not conversating? Take that note. But anyways, we got to conversing even more about the business idea. That whole night, I could not go to sleep at all. The next day, I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, this is something I need to do. And that's how I am. When it's something that's on my heart, on my mind, I can't stop thinking about it. Then I know that it's something that, might make money. You know what I mean? So we all ended up starting that. And mind you, these were two guys I went into business. We all ended up starting this business on my funds because I was still back hustling, back in the streets at the time. So I had hustled up, on the little bit of money that it was going to take us to print our first issue, which was, we actually started this business with $3,500. So guys, keep in mind, all of the businesses that I started before I moved to the city of Atlanta were started with less than, except for Wet Dimes in the Calendar, everything was started with less than $5,000. So keep that in mind. And G-Spot, of course. But I mean, like I said, I put 30 grand into that spot, but starting off, I only had 3 grand in my bank account, you know? So I say that to say, just so that you guys know, like, you do not have to have $1 million to go into business. You don't have to have 15, 20, 30, 50 grand to go into business. You have to have ambition. You have to have hustle. You have to have discipline. You have to have drive. There are so many things that you guys can do out there, and so many businesses that you can start for less than $5,000. I just told you guys about 3 out of the 5 businesses that we talked about were started with less than $5,000. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. When we get back together, I'm going to talk about the last 5 businesses that I started, which were all here in Atlanta. One of them, of course, the Hookah Hideaway. Got my shirt on right now. But anyways, that's basically it for today's session. So we talked about how do you get started and what it is that I personally did to start the first 5 businesses that I opened up. Also reminded you guys that I'm getting the Entrepreneur of the Year award tomorrow. Man, that's some pretty swagged up stuff right there. Like I got to toot my own horn on that one. But yeah, Entrepreneur of the Year award over at iLounge. Me and my people, we're going to be pulling up in a party bus. It's going to be a great night. If y'all can't join us over at iLounge, join us over at Hookah Hideaway for the after party. Stand up until 4 a.m. But before I get out of here, as y'all can see, I'm about to wrap it up. I've had a super long day today. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions? I'm going to do probably about 5 minutes of questions for everybody. Thank you for doing this. It's truly helpful, man. You're welcome. I be so tired on Mondays, y'all, because it's my longest day of the week. But I always feel like if I can say anything, just one little thing that'll help somebody. Because honestly, like if y'all look at my story, whoissnoop.com, like I swear to God, like if I can do it, y'all can do it. Like at least probably fucking 5-6 years ago, I was broke. You know what I'm saying? So like, man, it don't take long. Stay down. They stay, you know, it'll take 7 years and you just need 1 year that'll change your life. It's so true. That life-changing year for me was last year, of course, but it can happen for y'all. It can happen for everybody, like I said. And I just try to drop gems and jewels and stuff like that that you guys can take away and learn from my mistakes. I'm so public about the things that I've not only been successful about, but the things that I did wrong and some of the mistakes that I made. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take 5 questions. So here we go. Somebody said, what did you talk about? I missed most of your live, buddy. All right, so look, what I do is I put the sessions on my website, whoissnoop.com. So this time next week, you'll be able to catch this session. Is there any way I can apply for your bar as a server or go-go dancer? This is actually not the appropriate platform for that. However, all of my establishments have websites. We are currently hiring at both of the establishments, so check those websites out, EscobarAtlanta.com and thehookahhideaway.com, and you can find information there. All right, how did you bounce back from the bad food rating Escobar received? I saw people say a lot of bad things about the restaurant, but you guys bounced right back and kept going. Well, hopefully if you follow me or my businesses on Instagram, you know, you've been able to see how we bounced back, man. You know, we worked hard. We kept our head up. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. And we took a big hit from it. We got a lot of bad public publicity. And honestly, we're still working on bouncing back from it. There are still individuals, I'm sure, out there that won't come and eat at Escobar because of that. But hey, what we do, we put a lot of systems in place. We learn from it. We strive to keep a clean, healthy restaurant every day. And of course, we had another surprise inspection that happened within 2 weeks of that. We ended up getting, it was either a 96 or 97 rating. So that really helped. And thankfully, you know, the city of Atlanta, they gave us, I ain't gonna say just as much good publicity after the second rating, but you know, they did give us a little bit of good publicity that helped as well. But just being consistent, you know, that bad score wasn't consistent, but what we do every day is absolutely consistent. Can you talk about taxes about those first 5? No, I can't, baby, because I don't do taxes and I'm not a specialty on them. I use a CPA. I actually was just on the phone with my CPA. So that's not anything that I feel super comfortable getting into. So that's one that I won't be able to answer. All right, we got two more questions. How do you stay positive? I stay positive because, of course, I'm in a very extremely blessed position, and not just because of what I do and how much money I make or anything like that. I'm healthy. I've got a good family. And what I do is always, of course, and being an entrepreneur with stuff going on, there's always something going on with one of the businesses. But I think because I've been in this game for so long now, I've been an entrepreneur now for 12 years. I think because I've been in this game for so long now, I learned to compartmentalize stress and just not get stressed about every single small thing. A manager may call me and say, hey, we had a customer in here, they said they're going to sue you. I'm not losing any sleep about that, okay? I've heard that before. Not that I don't take different things seriously and things of that nature, but, you got to learn, pick your battles, basically. And then as far as staying positive, I keep positive people around me. I'm very, very protective of my energy. Everybody knows me, knows how private I am, and I move in very, very small circles. So that really, really helps a lot. All right, one last question. All right, somebody said, how can they hook up with me for business advice? Check out my Instagram, check out my website, whoissnoop.com, or email me, helpgrowmybusiness@gmail.com. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys, man. I really enjoyed you all. This was a great session. I love when I can just talk from the dome and I don't have to say a bunch of facts and things of that nature. And I'm so looking forward to telling you guys and sharing with you guys how I started Party Bus Kings, The Hookah Hideaway, Girl Talk, Posh, and Escobar. Speaking of Girl Talk, hey, y'all, I've been grinding on that app for 2 years, and it's finally dropping again this year on my birthday, April 3rd, 2018. So that's going to be crazy right there. And once again, if y'all can join me tomorrow night at our lounge or either at Hookah Hideaway, please come holler at your girl. Y'all follow me on IG like you doing or you wouldn't be here. Also follow my businesses, Escobar Atlanta, The Hookah Hideaway, Girl Talk, download Girl Talk app, and the Dials of Escobar. Man, once again, I appreciate y'all. Much love. All right.